Hey there, Vlad is speaking. I'm software developer living in a Bangkok time zone. My daily driver is the Hermes agent running DeepSeek V4 Pro. Let's take a look. My Hermes have two profiles, the coder and researcher. The coder is public, the researcher is private. Researcher is actually a default profile and the coder is additional profile with the name public. I use this profile to have Telegram group with my developers. There is nothing in particularly interesting here in the configuration. It's so standard except the Telegram. This is a public channel. Researcher is mainly for myself. It runs three jobs during the daytime and reports opening and the close of various kill zones, the market outlook basically. Here's the public group with my coder agent, the agent running on the background, collecting the context and available to be triggered where the reference. So those are my two agents running on the Hermes, my main interaction interface. Let me show you how it runs behind the scenes. My agent workflow usually revolves around the Kanban board. Let me demonstrate. List my boards. Hermes Kanban have an extensive command line interface, which is well made, but the only thing I'm using it in with the arbitrary text through the agents. So here you can see it executes the Kanban CLI on the terminal. I usually use the Hermes delegate task function. Let me show you. Explain how the delegate task works in Hermes. It spans agent in an isolated sandbox, and the parent waits for sub agent to work, and then after it finishes the work, it returns the summary. Right? Most of the time, though, I just use cron. Let me show you the list of cron jobs I have right now. I'm gonna show it on my default profile because Coder have no active cron jobs. The coder, I only run the Kanban. I am a delegate task. The cron jobs total amount, how many? 31 cron jobs. 10 for the session analysis, 7 for the forward test, 10 for a mirror of a session analysis is off kill zone, some daily system around 4 jobs. And if you want to see how it looks behind the scenes, that's the cron job JSON. Usually, if I operate or make any adjustment in configuration, I do it through the chat agent. So I rarely go under the hood, check manually in the code. I almost always do it through my phone, through the Telegram. And the cron jobs looks like this. It's quite a lot of the configurations here, the prompt, the skills, the schedule, and the script. You can take a look the session data script. I think it's this one, right? Yes. Yes. It pulls Binance API and pulls down some feature detection like key lines, fair value gaps, swings, SR levels, and the catalysts. That's pretty much it. Right? That was for the cron job. I want to show you the memory. It runs periodic nodes that captures weekly, yearly, daily memory snapshots, as well as the general memory file. Over time, the memory file get clogged and the agent comes in and compartmentalize, sort out, does produce many files, lessons learned. So this is how I don't come in and structure it myself. It's usually done by the Hermes. This is how it organized it for on the lessons, operations, and the summaries. I do something similar on Obsidian as my older system for the journaling. So it's pretty neat. It's a way to maintain a wiki, essentially avoid situations where the memory is fragmented between different applications or different providers. The OpenClaw or the Kermes are like what you usually need to do is to centralize the storage instead of fragment it. So that's for the memory. Since we're here, let me show you the agents.md. Before I was running the OpenClaw, after I moved to the Hermes, Hermes attempted to migrate some of the skills from the OpenClaw, and the AgentMD is something I moved alongside as well. Now let me show you the commands that I usually use. It's background to run the prompt in the background. That is different with the delegate task. The delegate task doesn't have the explicit command, and it works slightly more robust than the background. The background is just throw one off prompt and receive the output back. The delegate actually delegates, orchestrates, reruns, or can be pointed out to a specific goal to strive for. And the orchestrator will be able to pick up the slack, pick up the errors and timeouts, and retrigger the runs as well. And the delegate task is also different than the Kanban worker as well. Keep in mind on this. This is just a command. Then I often do the steer. This is very useful. The queue I don't usually use often because, as far as I understood, it queues every next message that you throw in the chat anyway. So there's not much point of the command if it runs by default already, but it's at least it's here. And another one that I use quite often is stop, because some of the models that I run through the Hermes might be older generation, so to say, and some of them can go on a tangent and overthink or start doing weird things. So it's important to have a circuit breaker and stop it. And this is what the stop command is for. Right. Now let me show you what I actually shipped. I was working on Zola as the subcontractor of Carabotics. I was the lead developer for mobile apps. We started with one. The Zola team gave us two more, improve and maintain. The first mobile application we shipped in 1 month and then spent couple years of improving. This is the mobile app we shipped. And my commits. By the time I departed Zola, we were in a version 2. It's been a while. The other thing that I worked at was the 10 or 11 developer startup that was called Ambulance. Since then, they renamed themselves to DocGo. Is the medical transportation dispatching system that routes ambulances to potential rides that's booked through the mobile application and managed in mission control dispatcher dashboard. When the OpenClaw was trending, I was making the skills. I ended up making 3 skills for the OpenClaw: Notion, Agent Memory, recent email and Gumroad analytics back when the computer use was not a solved problem. I was developing my own implementation of it using the Raspberry Pi GUI capture application that is native macOS application and the agent skill. The Raspberry Pi sends the native hardware heat signals and operate the keyboard and the mouse. Then the GUI capture app takes the screenshot, feeds it to the vision powered models like GPT 5.5, for example. The model then in turn generates commands that fed back into the hardware, and then it goes in a loop, and in this way it fully controls the computer, not just programmatic access. It takes away entirely the full system. I've published it under the organization repository. Now let me show you a few skills that Hermes generated via the self-learning. Execution, intuition, something that I working out on a new skill with it. Here is the Kanban skill that is controlling the Kanban CLI, which is pretty good skill. I like it a lot. I use it a lot. The system awareness, the skill that I thought it's nice to have. It looks in a rudimentary way at the moment, but this is something that the agent can develop awareness of its own environment and its whole system. Here goes health checks, the observability, the crashes, or anything that is related, making sure that the crons, the jobs and programs are running the way they're supposed to run, and report and alert me of any weirdness or any behavior that's not running well. And the trading skill also evolved further into CPVC backtesting, combinatorial purged cross validation, which is very useful to try different parameters and different configurations to like fan out and see what survives. The off zone kill zone trading is like a mirror of the primary strategy of the kill zone liquidity breakout. This one designed for the off kill zone low liquidity environment where the price drift off in specific direction, and the edge is to detect where the market drifts off seemingly random way, so to say, or find any potential catalyst in this drift off. And then the summary or the synthesization of overall the trading strategies that has been run on the Brainrot. Now let me show you my video pipeline. My video production pipeline consists of 3 different content types, starting from the still generation of the image, like the stills, then the image sequences, like the carousel, then the user story, which is short clips of videos, one on top of another that forms some sort of the timeline, and the full-fledged video, which is a merged video out of all of these segments into one. I used it mostly to promote my chat agent, my media relations agent, my MP3 player besides the shop. So it is based on Remotion and Vercel durable functions. The Vercel durable functions there handle the generation requests for the media, and the Remotion is there to put it all together. Generation on the pipeline, there is the specific configuration of workload jobs that takes certain amount of flux, forms more or less coherent story, or that's the idea. The Remotion is the declarative React based, which is very nice since you can take this composition and remix it or vibe code it or do something with it with AI as well. That's why it's quite useful. So my last video that I made is like this. This was the product update announcement video where I moved to my chat sessions on Vlad the Chat to a convex backend, and I established the persistent memory. Some music. And the source code is open. Fork it yourself and deploy your own media. This one is for music.lat.chat, which is a separate. Other than that, I have the video for the shop.lat.chat, which is where I sell computer use skills, Notion templates. So the architecture of it is the APIs that can be wrapped to MCP server. Then the workflow layer, whereas this is the use workflow, use step, Vercel, durable functions. Very, very nice, very convenient. And then the renderer is the bond worker that is a wrapper on the remotion render. And so you hit the API endpoint. The API endpoint specifies the job, schedules the job, hands it over to the workflow layer, executes the generation, and then it fans out a composition, and then it all converge into the bond worker who renders it. This is the project. This is the schemas of the different types of the segments, the dialogue, text, narration, instructions, side, who is speaking, me or me, this kind of shots, close up, medium, too short, and other variations. Mood, description of the visual, voice, the description, the characteristics of the voice. Seconds is the length of the dialogue. The image schema specifically consists of different features of a shot, format, subject action, environment time, remotion, the composition. So it's just React with the image and text. The text also the subtitle component. Here's the caption component. Also, right, that's it. As my public relations agent, it's available at vlad.chat. To access it, this is where I provide recent information on the updates on my projects, and this is where I also give the information about my Notion templates for the different categories, operation system scrolls, mental models, and the playbooks, as I call them. I want to demonstrate that it is, in fact, a custom-made MCP server connected to Notion. Yes. So this is my list of the tools. Notion search. I have a page ID, and I am using the Notion fetch, and I have the tool result. So I also have the MCP for SoundCloud, which is from the music.lat.chat that have users, tracks, and likes. If I run the likes, it will pull some of the tracks from the SoundCloud, from my favorites, which shows, in fact, that the MCP server is running well. All the information are coming from the shop.vlad.chat, and this is where I keep all my content that you can take a look.
up on me face, kid, and it's all black. Gotta lie low, drugs right albino. If you know, then I know. Where did all of that time go? I see pyramids, no pride. Oh, I'm bold, I'm eager. She's loving my. Oh shit, lot of fun. Hold on,
Okay.
with dates to the top. We found got a belly on my face and I'm we found sweet money. I don't know. Fake money, people stuck on my 20 waste man.
Okay.